Welcome everybody to the KubeVirt community meeting, January 20th, 2021. Tongue twister there. First on the agenda, we have Daniel Heller, so we'll turn it over to him. You with us, Daniel? So the question he had was, with regard to community members and inactivity, how long should the status quo go before we reevaluate if they are active or not? Is that what the topic was?
Daniel, you're on mute, just in case.
So his face popped up momentarily. I wonder if he's having audio trouble.
Yes, I guess you're talking about me, right?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I don't know why, but my audio got muted completely and the volume got turned down completely. So I don't know why, but yeah. I guess you were just talking about the first agenda point.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what we discovered recently was that we know someone who is who hasn't responded to pull requests for a while, and therefore the discussion turned up how we should handle those situations when people stop responding to pull requests when they get assigned a pull request. And yeah, I think the initial discussion yielded that we might just remove them from the reviewers section in the owners file, but I don't want to decide this on my own, or we shouldn't decide it. This should be a community decision, I think. So I'm asking for feedback from you. How we should handle this. So with regards to, for example, that we also try to have a membership onboarding process, we should also have some, what is the definition of a continuously active community member, right?
Good question. And I have been on and off distracted and borderline myself eligible for being removed at some point. So I don't know what a good benchmark would be off the top of my head, in the sense that things can happen, and people can be distracted. But what is the period of time that's too long, and somebody shouldn't be necessarily automatically reviewing things?
Yeah, sure. Because Fabian, for example, suggested that we should follow the Kubernetes activity measure, which I think is quite a bit long for our project. Kubernetes proposes, I think, 1.5 years or something after someone is not regarded active anymore. And I think this would rather hurt our project in terms of, well, when you get a pull request signed and no one is responding, I think this will especially put off people that are first-time authors, so I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, and that's a great example for my own personal experience. If I push a pull request to Kubernetes, I automatically seek somebody out who would be an appropriate reviewer, because I don't assume that automatically assigned reviewers are paying attention. But then you have to wade through the sea of knowing who's who, and know who to contact. And so I think that's kind of underlines your point. 18 months sounds excessive. I agree. I would wonder if 6 might be a better benchmark. And what does the activity measure actually show us? Any participation at all, or what's the metric?
I haven't seen any exact metric on that, so I didn't find any reference on where people are. I think this would also be some kind of stealthy, right? So just that people get looked at for what they're doing in the community, and I think some people might complain about that also. So I think this should rather, or this might rather be something that other people are complaining about, people not responding to active pings or something maybe. And I myself did a little bit research on how to automate this. Looking at the GitHub API, I saw that we only have the measure of looking at what people are doing for around 90 days or something, or at the maximum it's the events API I'm talking about. And these, there are a couple of 300 events that are always the maximum cap. So I don't think that we have any good measure of automating this also. So, or how to look at it, I don't know.
Well, I mean, to play devil's advocate, I'll pick on myself. I'm a great example here of somebody who might not necessarily be incredibly responsive to reviews. And I'll fully admit there's way too many emails from GitHub. And so if I don't actively review my own review requests manually, I could miss one. But I still show up as active because I do make pull requests, commits, do participate. So I don't know if, as far as automating, I would not show up as somebody who would, I wouldn't be removed automatically because of lack of activity, but at the same time, I could do better in terms of responding. So just as a counterexample to automating this.
Well, I think doing pull requests or doing pushes or something is some kind of activity. And also, if you don't commit to a PR and you just create issues, that's also some kind of activity. I think this all would count. And even if you are responding to some question or something, for example, in the community chat, should also be some kind of activity. And to get all this under one head could be relatively hard, I think. So yeah, but yeah.
So far, this has been a conversation between myself and Daniel. Is there anybody else that has perspective or opinions on the matter?
So, I can share my opinion on this. So, there are some projects that you will, for example, will never lose your approval or your maintainership. This is happening in other projects, but maybe the first thing is to differentiate between the reviewer and the approver. So the reviewer, you could lose it pretty quickly if you didn't respond it for, let's say, 2-3 months. You can be removed because it means that you are usually the automation of sending you the review request, you don't respond to it, so there is no reason it will continue sending it to you. This is one option. And the approver, that one is a bit tricky because someone may own some part of the code and that part may not change. So there needs to be a good reason. Someone needs to check if it changed enough so it will not matter. And you can set dates. Like you can say 6 months or 1 year, or depends. You can have like maybe a meeting. The maintainers can have a meeting and decide this to clean up everything every 6 months. And that's it.
I had assumed that if you're an approver, you're automatically a reviewer. Is that wrong?
No, but I think the reviewer here. So the approver, I think everyone can do the LGTM. The only difference, I think, is that the reviewers will get the notification. Pro will send them the notification to review it in a random manner. So it makes sense not to be in the list if you are not doing that. I think that in our project, I think it's also a problem in Kubernetes that not a lot of people that are in that list. Usually it sends to 2 people. These people are usually not answering the review. So it is a bit odd, but
Eddie, just to clarify that I got it correctly. So the difference between regular member and a reviewer is just that a reviewer is assigned automatically by the system as opposed to any other that can just initiate LGTM or review in terms of um, access? They have the same capability and access and permissions?
Yes, in general, yes. This is what I
Okay,
understood, and this is what I managed to rate. But if maybe there are gotchas, but that's
okay,
basically it.
okay, got you. Thank you.
I always thought that the reviewer role, as it is defined in owner's aliases, is also if you are part of the reviewers, then you only can you can assign an LGTM, and if you are an approver, you can do both. And at least I thought so, but yeah,
Yes,
I'm not
that's not.
sure.
Yeah,
No, no,
that's not the case.
yeah, right. So everyone who is in the organization can do well. It looks good to me, but reviewers are explicitly picked because it makes sense to pick them based on their knowledge or whatever.
Yes, and it actually, I mean, I'm guessing this, but this is what happens in maybe in other places, that if a approver he wants to depend on a reviewer, then it's his. I mean, he can request or he can wait for for a primary review or something like that for the final ARC here, final LGTM. So everyone can LGTM, but I guess the approver can say implicitly that he's waiting for someone specific to look at this. But yeah.
And just a curious question, do we have statistics or some knowledge on what is the main bottleneck? Is it people waiting for review or people waiting for approve after the LGTM?
I think it's hard to. I think, in my opinion, it's hard to know this because there are many cases when you can get a LGTM from someone, but for example, the maintainer will still wait for another person that is more familiar with that code to give the hack. So it
Okay.
depends. I don't know if we can get this easily. I guess this maybe we can do like another. We can add another layer that says that adds a specific label if you are a reviewer and you act. Maybe that can help, but I'm not. That's goes into other regions here, too deep. So my summary to this will say that losing the reviewer makes more sense to lose it quickly. I mean, let's say 2 or 3 months, but losing the approver, it's really dependent on the code. If the code totally changed after 2 or 3 months, then I guess it's fine. But if the person is a approver in a place that didn't change in the last for a long period, then maybe he's still interested in being maintaining that. So it needs to be documented and just take a decision.
Well,
6 months,
so I think the ultimate question, though, we're all agreeing that somebody should be removed if they're not participating. What mechanism is that? Is that, I think I heard a committee meeting. I've heard the bot just does it. What do we want to do?
I think, as Eddie said, for reviewer, I think you can go with the bot because you actually do not remove any privilege from the user, right? He can still review if he wants to. So you just remove him from the automation, which is very good because otherwise, if he's not active, some people who are not well connected in the community can wait a long time with some inactive reviewer and not getting a review, right? So it's good that we remove them.
Does the bot then re-add automatically?
I have no clue.
Actually, about what bot are we talking? So I don't have a bot ready. So I was just thinking about automating this and looking at the GitHub API, like I said before. And I think we could automate it. And if we would conclude that that reviewers would be removed when after a certain period of time, whatever that would be, this, I guess, could be automated and would make sense at least. So that we wouldn't have to handle this case manually. And for other things regarding community membership, I think this should be discussed in a broader audience. This shouldn't be handled by a bot automatically, or at least that's my opinion on that.
All right, so I will take a note. So it sounds like the consensus is that if it can be automated, it should be.
So one comment here. So the actual removal implies a PR is sent to the owner's file or owner aliases, right? That could be the opportunity to review that proposal. Let's say so. Whether the PR comes from an automated process or not, it provides a chance for the affected people, let's say, to review the decision or the proposal. So,
That's a good idea. You can put the actual people as reviewer for that PR.
Yeah, or ping them at least. That's a good idea, right?
Okay, I think that the discussion has kind of died off. If there's any follow-on, should we refer to the mailing list, or how do we want to proceed with this conversation? Because it doesn't sound like there's a resolution per se, or is there? All right, if we have any follow-on discussion, let's do that on the mailing list just so that we don't lose it. And next topic, we have Edward Haas. I'll turn it over to you, sir.
So I'm sorry I didn't add the link. We have a proposal to introduce SRV live migration feature, and we started with investigating in that regard, and had some talks until this document was created. A little bit of work has been started on PRs, but there is nothing merged or even approved. So I'm just want to share this this work, and I hope we can, if we have people that will want to comment back, it will be appreciated. My only problem at the moment is little technical, is that I can some reason I cannot share it with outside the company, which is very odd.
Well, the shortcut there, by the way, is to share it with the Google Groups email alias, because anybody that shows up at this meeting has access to it then.
So I can share the group meeting and that's it? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as great as having it just public, but it's at least open. Nothing's being hidden. Anybody that wants can opt in.
Okay, so I'll just add it to the document as is, and I'll share it. I'll send a share link. This is the link, and then I'll do it. Thank you.
Okay, so the upshot is this is a proposal for how to do live migrations if SIRV is attached to the VM.
So if the SRV devices are attached to the VM and we start the migration, the proposal is, I'll summarize it quickly, is detaching the SRV devices before the migration is started and reattaching them on the target after the migration finished. It mimics the solutions that exist today in OpenStack and KubeVirt.
Okay, so at this point, we're basically looking for people to review and provide feedback.
Yeah.
I I had a question. Basically, I had submitted a ticket with the issue. My name is Rupesh, and I think we discussed the same issue last week also. I wanted to see if I can get support on this, maybe like with a donation to the community, or with somebody giving me some time for helping me fix the issue? Is that possible somehow?
Don't recall the proposal from last week. Could you refresh our memory?
So I'm trying to create a VM, and I'm using K3s. And with K3s and KubeVirt, we were able to install successfully. All the pods are running fine. But when I'm trying to create a VM, it's not going and communicating with the K3s API server. So that is where the issue is coming.
So yeah, due to the webhook not being resolved by the API server, right?
Right.
I've
we
seen
tried-
that on Cert Manager. They have the same issue, and it's also not resolved. So what they do there is disabling the Cert Manager. I guess whoever is doing K3s should have a look there. So we should probably open an issue there and ask them.
By the way, I mentioned last time I'm going to try on my K3s, and I tried 2 days ago, and I couldn't install KubeVirt because I'm running on K3 OS, which is a very small operating system they provide, and it doesn't support KVM. So,
Okay.
KVM running.
Okay, but yeah, then it's at least clear what needs to be fixed.
Yeah, but that's specific to the operating system I use. I'm going to try on a K3s when I have time.
Yeah, sounds great. But still, I mean, there seem to be issues with webhooks in general on K3s. So I don't know. Maybe we should check the repos there and see if they have something open already regarding to that.
Okay, I was just taking a note there. So I don't know if we can make any immediate promises other than to look at the API they have and see if there's some sort of insight we can help with.
So if somebody can help me with like a few hours of their time, I would like to compensate also with the community donation or something, or directly to the person. How do you want to do it? But if that is possible, I would love that, please.
This was a specific. If I remember correctly, you raised an issue. Do you have a link that you could share?
Okay, let me give you that.
Thanks.
Okay. In the meantime, should we move on with other discussions? All right. Next up, we have Chris to propose status of version branches in the user guide.
Hi, everyone. I was thinking about enabling versioning in the make docs migration for KubeVirt documentation, and we noticed there are a number of old release branches in the user guide repo. I was just wondering who creates those branches, and when do we get rid of them, and are any of these existing branches still relevant?
Oh, that's a good question. So I've reviewed a lot of user guide PRs, and then I haven't been aware of this event. So I'm not sure if someone is really using that.
Yeah. So upstream documentation for the project in general. I didn't know we were versioning it, but that's a very good point.
I just checked. They're so old. They're 0.14 is the last one. No, 0.19.
You can delete all of them, Chris.
Yeah. Yeah, just delete them. They have no relevance, really.
Yeah, I believe that's from 2 years ago at this point. So
excellent. I like the sound of that answer.
Okay, so, but that's a good point of going forward. So we're on release 37, if I recall right now. Is that this month's release? If we were to start versioning the documentation from this point forward, how long should we have them go back?
We shouldn't. I don't think we should version it. I can't think of a reason to version it because everything is forwards or backwards compatible. Like, what would be the things aren't really changing as we move forward. Like, we're not going to have.
Well, I can play devil's advocate and say that you can at least know when something was introduced.
Yeah,
Even if
things have changed. Things have changed, and the things that were changed weren't fully changed. In particularly the host disk to empty disk migration.
There's multiple dimensions to the user guide as well. It's not just KubeVirt. So I don't know what we would version. I mean, so when we look at storage, for example, there's CDI features that might not correlate directly to the KubeVirt. I'm not sure how to version it. What would we anchor it to?
Good point, because if we did it by API version, that comes back to what you just said. You know, we're still on the same API version we were a year ago because it's backwards compatible. And if you anchored it on whatever the stable branch is, once again, now we run into a problem with what extra information did we actually share by versioning it? I don't know.
Well, I'm totally fine not having versioning because that's a lot less work on my plate.
Yeah, and if something happens that something changes that, let's say, for whatever reason breaks compatibility, this should actually become part of the documentation. This should be documented, not hidden in a branch. So so it should become a new item, either somewhere in the documentation. So there wouldn't be a point to keep a version with and without the break. Make sense?
Yes. I'm conflicted because I can sort of see a use for it, but I can't think of how he would sanely do that. So the consensus that I heard at this point, though, was no versioning necessary for now.
Yeah, that's what I gathered too.
Who is going to use versioning of the docs?
I see many other projects on the internet that do versioning. So that was just a proposed feature with the user guide migration to make docs.
Okay. I guess the consensus is that we won't version for now, and we can always revisit if it turns out we can find a good reason to do so. Fair?
By the way, the example can be rel or rev. Everyone, they have every version. They have there is a document and it's under the version. It's like a branch.
And OpenShift.
Yes, I don't know. I just know the one. I usually reach rel at some point, but yes, maybe everyone has it. Because like if someone has, I think the reasoning is here that is if you have version X, then you have this feature, and if you move to version X+1, you have additional feature or some feature that were taken out, and there needs to be totally different. The other approach is that for each feature that you add, you can say deprecated in version or added in version. So there are two approaches here.
I know the Kubernetes docs are versioned, but it's because stuff changes quite a lot in the docs and people want to go back sometimes, I think. But I don't know if it's necessary right now.
Okay, I think that the consensus is not necessary at this time, but we can change if we need. So with that, are there any other topics for the agenda today before we move to the open floor? All right, Pep, the floor is yours, sir.
Thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask. Maybe you mentioned it before I joined. Like 5 weeks ago, Stu shared a draft about the role or the membership in the community, a document, and there was some discussion about it, but many like
Yes,
when
and that was. Sorry, so that was actually discussed as part of the first topic that Daniel raised on one of the aspects of this document, which is how to kind of demote. But your question was
like when can we make it official? Who owns it and when can we make it official?
That's a very good question, and slightly related to this and to the topic that I wanted to mention, which is the KubeVirt Summit. I was going to say that I was trying to add a session. We have the KubeVirt Summit coming. I'll talk about this, but what about suggesting a topic on how to contribute to KubeVirt and cover topics like the process of becoming a contributor and staying a contributor, as per the discussion before. And maybe we could set that, that discussion as a deadline for reaching an agreement, like after the summit. Does that make sense?
Did you mean to then discuss membership as a topic in the summit?
That could be an option. I mean, as a potential topic to discuss.
It seems a bit boring to me.
Well, contributing to the project is not boring. It's
No. Contributing is interesting. The setting up, like who are the different roles, and like to me, it's something that we should just sit, finish, publish. I wouldn't like to spend time on it in the summit about this. I want to hear about interesting technical.
Okay. Then yeah. I mean. Should we set a deadline, like let's say before the summit, so this can be kind of presented at the summit as a?
I think that presenting that is a nice thing. So you can announce and describe the roles and how you can move from role to role. So what do you suggest? Just adding comments to the document? What is the procedure to kind of discuss it?
Well, there are actually quite a few, and since we've brought it up, let me find the document. There are quite a few comments already on it, and I don't have it, unfortunately, here. I don't know what happened to it. I closed the tab. So what we basically need to do is take ownership of it and, and commit to some of the comments that have been made at this point.
Isn't it used to that own this document?
Yes, there was some talk of Chris getting involved, but I don't know if that came to fruition, so I can keep owning it if that's the plan. So yes, Dan, I will take the document sometime between now and the next community meeting and incorporate comments that have been made. And then we can bring forth a proposal again next week.
Can declare it as golden and then everybody comply with it.
Sure.
Maybe we can translate it to MD, put it in GitHub or something, or link to it. What do you say? What's the proper way to publish it? Like just say it is now golden, or to push it as commit to the
I agree.
contributing page.
This should be in the repos. It should be also mentioned in the user guide. There's a section for contributors, so that should be highlighted there.
Okay, so we need to convert, we need
And-
to incorporate comments made and make a PR out of it. A PR to the community side or PR to the code base?
I would say in the community side and also in the user guide, at least a pointer to it. So
Oh, just
Okay.
not completely related, but I was just I forgot an update. We just implemented on the dev stats. We implemented repository grouping, and I added a commit to the KubeVirt community where I created a 6 YAML. Maybe if any one of you is interested, can have a look at that. Just for a quick heads up. Sorry, just for overloading everything here, but yeah, I think this was just worth a mention probably.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, and with that, I think that we have concluded the discussion on that. Turning it back over to you, Pep, to talk about KubeVirt Summit.
yeah, thanks Daniel for raising that, because I actually saw that commit and I was honestly wondering exactly the details. But anyway, yeah, sorry, moving forward, because yeah, the KubeVirt Summit now has a landing page. It's linked there from the notes. We're still accepting proposals for topics to contribute. There have been 4 submissions so far, and a few more people showing interest and working on proposals, but don't be shy, you're still on time. As mentioned, I think we will submit a new topic to talk about contributing to the project. And well, I just wanted to mention this, and that's it basically.
The deadline is this weekend.
This week, yes, we aim to have the proposals this week, so we can work on a schedule through by the end of the month, and have it available so people can prepare their agendas, let's say. And we also got access to the online platform well, yesterday, and we're starting to work on, let's say, the logistics of it. And more details on the actual logistics will come soon.
All right, thank you. And Roman, you had a note about merging in GitHub.
Yeah, we are already for 1 or 2 weeks in a pretty bad shape due to a new random operator bug which we ran into, and I created a PR for it to fix it, to finally make it possible again to merge PRs automatically. I guess you have all been bugged by the failure. Also wrote to KubeVirt Dev about it, and then the 0.37.0 release came out, and some more operator related things broke. I have it all fixed now, and as we speak, all tests were green, but something else got merged in between, so it's retesting now. But it but it will be fixed soon. The PR fixes it now because the last test turned green. Yeah, I will update you on KubeVirt Dev once it's in. Should be within a few hours today.
Okay. As far as the bug scrub, is anything going on with that currently, Peter?
Yeah, we had the first session last week, and I think it went quite well. So if nobody minds, we can continue with that for the next 14 minutes before we disembark.
Where's yours?
All right, thanks. Let me just share my screen. All right, we got plenty of legacy reports. If nobody minds, I would skip them and go through the issues submitted by the community. It may be more interesting for the little time that we have left. So let's start with this one. Config map and emulation variable is incorrect. Question mark. It was opened yesterday, and the issue is that a VM bot stays pending, and we failed to console into it. That's not much to work with. And it speaks about emulation. Shall we just ask for more logs there? Because I can't figure out what's wrong. Just out of the statement.
What do you mean changing the variable names in data got the test VM running?
Where do you read it?
Okay, they just enabled the emulation. Okay, so probably the host does not support virtualization.
Are they saying that emulation didn't get enabled? Sorry, I kind of was distracted.
Debug dash instead debug dot.
Okay, I think it's just maybe misleading. So as you say, then it did not work without the emulation. It works with it. So I guess the question would be, do you have nested virtualization? Do your hosts support nested virtualization? The issue seems to be related. And let's leave it there. All right. Okay, let's see what they say. Moving on to this. Drop libvirt daemon driver storage for libvirt 690. As of this libvirt, the QEMU driver no longer necessarily depends on the storage driver, and it should be possible to stop including the package in containers once a new libvirt is imported. So we are just waiting for the newer version of libvirt. I recall there were some changes related to the libvirt shipping and to the version. Could anybody shed some light on it? Are we already on libvirt 6.9, or are we still waiting for it?
You know, this brings up a different question. Upstream, we have a funny way of consuming libvirt in the sense that the images are custom built for us, if I recall. And this is a topic that I was probably going to defer till next week to actually propose, but it may be that we want to explore moving to CentOS Stream instead of as a base image. Rationale being that that's what libvirt is actually basing their work on upstream, so it would help us as a community to consume that. However, there's some technical issues under the surface of that make it easier said than done, and there's some side effects. So I know we've talked about it in the past couple months, but no, I don't think we're using 6.9 yet. I don't recall which we are though.
We're on 6.6 right now. Yeah, the discussion about CentOS streams is something we need to follow up on. I'm not sure if we have the right people in this meeting to really move forward with that, because we really need the people that are maintaining those packages to kind of give us guidance on when they think that they could start supporting that and giving us what we needed, the cadence that we needed.
Okay, so let's treat this as a tracker, and a reminder that once we switch to 6.9, we can address this. All right, the next one. Admission blocks, integers, and CPU and memory resources.
I thought we fixed that. So what version they're using?
We did not fix it. So the issue here is that we broke it inadvertently by consuming a newer version of the OpenAPI spec. If I recall, Lubo, who is his name just popped up on screen, does have a PR for it that's in the works.
Okay, awesome. So it's yeah, it seems it's being addressed. All right. Then let's skip it. And this one is from Ezra. Ezra, do you want to present this one?
Nothing much into it. It's just that I update some document. It's under the docs directory, and I had to go through all. I talked with Daniel about it. If there is anything, I think there should be an easy way to exclude directories and even in the future file types from just running all the tests. It also consumes a lot of testing resources from all of us. So there is no reason if someone is changing a README file that you run all the tests, right?
I think the simplest approach on that would just be using the run if changed with an expression that just matches Markdown, but I'm not sure if that would work.
Don't we need the opposite of it to match everything but Markdown files?
Yeah, exactly. And the problem is with that, I'm not an expert on regular expressions, but I found always writing a regular expression that matches everything but something is hard, right? So I'm not sure if we can easily do this.
I basically just wanted to raise the flag. It's not like it seems like very crucial. It's just that, it first, the impression is not so good that, I'm changing a README and suddenly I see that all the tests are running. And second is that we are consuming a lot of resources which are scarce, I think, because tests are taking a lot of time these days.
Yeah, it would make a lot of sense. Is there anybody who would like to give it a try? I mean, maybe we see that it really produces a huge regex and it's not really worth it, but maybe it won't be that difficult.
So if just assign it to me. So I will have a look at it.
Thanks, Daniel. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, if you see that it's too much work, we can just mark it as not resolved, I guess. Okay, issue with extra disks behaving differently after 0.36 update. It was opened a week ago. After an update from 35 to 36, I noticed issues with my VM not able to properly format both primary and secondary disks. Oh, This sounds serious, although I don't know much about storage. Do we have anybody that plays around with storage in KubeVirt here? There, do not. I think that Michael wouldn't be mad if we market him here, would he? Okay, let's try.
Do we have a way to assign it to a subgroup, like for storage guys, a topic?
We do have SIG labels, but I'm not sure if they are being used for scrumming by the interest groups. So,
but maybe we should, like, to make it easier for people who want to. I want to fix a storage bug today. How can you easily?
Yeah, we can label it for sure. I'm not sure if it would make it easier for somebody that works on the storage. Like, it won't make easier for us to find somebody because anyway. I think it's more efficient if we just neg them directly, but yeah, let's mark it as
of course, it's not being said. It's just saying, like, if somebody wants to look at all the storage stuff or the network stuff.
Yeah.
Repudiation of the Obama.
Okay. The next one was to enable to set the error policy. KubeVirt has the field error policy, and this defines how QEMU is going to treat I/O errors. More details and deliver the
That was me, so if you are interested, I can summarize the issue.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Let's go ahead.
Yeah, so actually I was working on a feature, KubeVirt feature, and to generate Kubernetes events on I/O error. And actually I tried to reproduce an I/O error on KubeVirt and I was not successful. And then actually that turned out to be because KubeVirt doesn't set error policy to stop, but it's by default set to report. So basically the I/O error are just reported on the gas kernel. So this depends how do you want to manage this kind of error. So linked to this issue, there is also my work in progress PR. If the error policy is set to stop, then the virtual machine is paused, and with the PR I open, you can get Kubernetes event. So basically, that's the source of this issue.
How did you reproduce the I/O errors? Like, well, it
Yeah,
sounds
so
like, yeah.
You can see I just create a buggy disk, and this is with VM setup. You have that there. So I just simply have one node cluster, and then I just create a PVC that reference this. You have the YAML down in the issue, and then I was able to get the VM post. So that's in the second comment if you want to see the setup.
I wonder if this would make sense to have exposed in the KubeVirt API, or is it more like a backdoor that we can do through the through the hook, maybe?
So I actually had an offline discussion with Roman. I'm not sure if he's still there, but anyway, it's just suggest to set the error policy to stop and then continue with the implementation of the Kubernetes event. So, but yeah, that could be configurable or.
Would you like to configure it per disk or on the entire VM?
So in KubeVirt is per disk, but I think it makes sense just to do it per VM. So right now it's just hard-coded. So yeah, another issue I have is actually to associate the right, so the disk to the PPC. That's something I haven't succeeded yet. So yeah, that's basically what it's about. And if you scroll down, you can see the IO event that get generated. So basically, yeah, right there.
So today we get the events, but we don't stop the VM. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So basically, it's the user that get the IO error. So it's the guest kernel that report the IO error. And that could be, for example, okay, in my case, I had a faulty device, but that could be also not enough space. And the VM is not paused right now because the error policy is set to report.
And excuse me for like, in my old KubeVirt times, I believe that in KubeVirt the default was to stop.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, that's correct.
And I wonder why do we need the knob? I mean, can't we just flip to stop?
Yes.
I'm just trying to think where should we expose it to the benefit of our users.
I'm not sure. That's why Roman suggested just simply to set to stop. The thing is today KubeVirt doesn't set it, and the libvirt behavior is to report.
Okay, I misunderstood. I thought that you are exposing a new knob. You're just
not
flipping,
yet.
flipping it to stop. Okay.
I'm just flipping, yeah.
I would only expose the knob if we have a use case where somebody would want to continue through an IO error. So if we can't think of a reason to do that, then we should just set the stop.
All right, works for me. And then if somebody really wants, they can continue through the KubeVirt API, do restart.
I mean, you can have a look to my first commit, and that simply set the error policy to stop. That's just something. And the second commit just include the generation of IO error. So that's the reason for the issue. Sorry, I took too long, probably.
Not at all. Excuse me, if the VM has stopped, how do we continue it? Is there a virtcatl command to continue it?
I haven't tried to unpause because my my setup just is a faulty device. It will be interesting to try to probably get a full device and then try to decrease and free some space and see what is the behavior. I haven't tried yet. I can try.
I suspect that it would stop again if it's still broken and it tries, if the guest tries again to do another IO operation.
Yeah, so the best practice would be that somebody externally fix the issue with the device because libvirt is not able to do that. And once the issue has been fixed, then you can just unpause the VM. But that's something I haven't tried. I just tried to generate some IO error, but probably it's interesting to.
I'm just saying that for the complete story that we are giving the user, I would say that your PR should say, hey, if I'm introducing new behavior that gets VMs to stop, if your VM stopped, fix the IO error and do this virtcatl command to unblock yourself.
Yeah, I can try. I can try it with virtcatl. I haven't tried yet.
One thought here: if somebody has their run strategy set to always, they could potentially get into a boot loop, I guess, where if it's an IO error, they would just stop the virtual machine and then it would immediately get recreated, like back into a running state, and then it would happen again, and then
we could pause.
But yet, so currently that's exactly what has been described. So I'm basically booting a virtual machine with a buggy device. So it's not reported that is paused. You can just see that in the log of Virt Launcher, but you really need to check it, and so it's not so easy to catch that problem. With the Kubernetes event, at least, if something is going wrong, it's reported by the Kubernetes event. So that's exactly what the PR is trying to do.
Okay. We are 2 minutes over time at this point,
sorry.
so thank you for bringing it up. Peter, do you have anything else we should cover?
No, I mean, we have over 100 issues to scrap left, but we want to do all of them today.
Can we discuss on 4731?
Sure, sure. Yeah, I found that one of the other issues, it's slightly older, reported a workaround for this. Did you get a chance to try it?
There is a workaround. Okay, okay. I will look into it. Sorry, I might have missed it, but I will look into that suggestion.
Cool, thanks. All right, I think we are good. And just maybe one last thing, LS, this is not ready to review. So once it is, please ping the assignees, I guess, to move it forward.
Yeah, the thing is, that would be nice if you had the hint how to associate the PVC to the disk, because yeah, that is in the description, so I don't want to bother everybody. But I would like to associate the disk with the PVC, and that's actually a bit tricky in the code to get the reference, because the VMI is not updated with the information. So I'm not sure if it's worthy or if mentioning the device is enough. So if you have any suggestion, that would be very useful.
Is there anybody who could help with it?
I think the only path forward may end up being, well, the way it's written right now, I think it would end up being a synchronous call to look up that association, but that's not great.
Yeah, I did that. And even querying Kubernetes with client, I even don't think Virt Launcher has the privilege to do that.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Virt Launcher does not have the privilege to do that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I suspected. Anyway, that's the special notes to describe what my current problem.
Can we follow up on the KubeVirt develop list?
Yeah, that would be great. Sorry, I just take too long.
No worries. All right. I'm stopping the screen share. Thanks all for participating. Have a great week.
Goodbye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.